How we doing, guys? I'm doing all right. Making another video today. Let's lower that exposure. There we go. I sit right next to a window. Brightness really tends to hit my face. I apologize for that. The lighting is pretty bad in some of these videos, but I'm getting better. So, coming at you with a lot of energy today. I've got a question. That's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic question, but it carries a lot of weight. Carries a lot of weight with it, and it's can be applied to really anything in life. And that is, why do we seek comfort? I know why I seek comfort. It's easy. Comfortable. I like being comfortable. But why? Why do we like being comfortable? Well, I think with a lot of the questions on this channel, if you take a look at my previous responses, I tend to start with the biological approach, the evolutionary angle. And I think that's a pretty weak point among my responses, but I do think they have merit, especially this one, right? If you think about it, evolution requires the strongest survive. However, also the smartest survive. If the smartest of a group can determine the easiest and most successful route from point A to point B, then you win. You win the biological lottery, your genetics can be passed on, etc. So with comfort, we have to take it back to our ancestors. We have to take it back to an evolutionary angle. That's just what we have to do to understand why we're creatures of comfort. I'm sure you've heard that buzzword or buzz terms, creatures of comfort. We really are. Humans, I mean, if you look at any major innovation, what is it built for? It's built for comfort, right? To make life easier. So from an evolutionary standpoint, we seek comfort because it's necessary, it's safe, it determines survival. All these things are super important. Yeah, I mean, if you're an ancient man, you're part of a small group, a nomadic group or tribe, whatever you want to call it, and a certain structure has ensured your survival throughout hundreds of years through tradition and practice. Why would you give that up, right? That's comfort. Although those people didn't live in what we consider comfort, to them it was simple, and if something worked, you did it, you stuck to it. However, in order to, I guess, evolve, since we're talking about biology and the evolution of man, you do have to take risks. You have to be a bit uncomfortable, right? The first man to move out of that sub-Saharan region of the desert, I guess where humans evolved from, the first few people to move out of that area were probably considered crazy. They took a risk because it was necessary. It was necessary for survival. They got out of their comfort zone. But we're not cavemen, right? We have technology now, right? We're in the modern day, so we can't really apply that same logic, although we can acknowledge the origin, the genesis of being comfortable, seeking comfort. It doesn't really apply to us as it used to. So why in the modern day do we seek comfort? Well, I think it has to do with familiarity. Comfort is nice. We like to feel nice. We like to feel secure. We like routine, structure. Especially me, I love routine. I love structure. I don't love planning, but if there's a plan in place, I feel a lot easier. I feel at ease. So that's me personally, why maybe I emphasize comfort. But why do we as humans emphasize comfort so much? Because it's what we know. It's what keeps us safe. It's what makes us feel secure, like I mentioned. But that's not a play for longevity. I'll tell you what, a comfortable life, sure, could be a good one, but would it maximize your full potential? Say you're at a 9 to 5, mind you. A lot of people knock 9 to 5s, dude, it's an honest living. So I'm not one of those guys who will knock a 9 to 5. But say you're at a 9 to 5, it's not really what you want to do, but you don't hate it, you don't love it, pays the bills, feeds your family, you're comfortable. But you know you're made for more. You know you're made for more, and you're wasting your potential. But you stay comfortable, because why would you leave? You know? Familiarity, it would disrupt the structure you have set, and it would be scary. I think personally for me, a lot of my gravity towards comfort is just being scared of what's next. I think that's my biggest issue, is just being scared. However, if this, let's say let's call him Kevin. Kevin's at this 9 to 5. He's comfortable, but he knows he's built for more. How much regret do you think Kevin will have in 20 years if he just never left? He got his 401k, whatever. He can leave, he can retire. But he knew that he had a great business plan, the capital to maybe start this business, or overall the drive to see it to fruition, but he never went for it because he was comfortable. How much regret do you think he'll have? If I was Kevin, I'd probably have quite a bit of regret, Not all comfort is bad, though. He probably still lived a pretty good life. His kids were probably raised pretty well. They had what they needed. It's just it's completely subjective, right? If you're okay living a life below your potential, this isn't a huge deal. But I think if you know you're built for more, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Fear of the unknown, lastly, is probably the overall deterrent from uncomfortable situations. I know at this point in my life, I'm not actively seeking dangerous situations, but I do try to put myself in situations that I don't know about, dude. Like, I try to say hi to people I don't know, maybe see if they could be a friend of mine. And if they're not, well, at least I tried, Life in general can be pretty uncomfortable, but I think if you just put yourself out there, you'll be surprised at what you don't even know could be your next thing. Read a book you don't necessarily agree with. Pick up a book you're not familiar with. Watch a documentary you're not familiar with. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to foreigners. Talk to people who speak different languages. Try to learn a different language. You know what I'm saying? Get uncomfortable. I think life really begins when we get out of our structure. I know for a fact that some of the best moments in my life, some of the most fun moments and memorable moments have been spontaneous, outside of my normal structure, and things I didn't necessarily want to do right away, but I did them anyway, and I went with it, and they're some of the most fond memories I have. So I would just recommend trying bits and pieces of being uncomfortable. Try it. Give it a taste. See if you like it. If you don't, go back to your 9 to 5 if that's where you want to be. But if you want to start that business, fucking save and do it. If you want to make new friends, talk to them. Talk to random people you don't know. See if they're cool. Become their friend. I'm still learning to be uncomfortable myself. I am also a human. I'm not on here to preach to anybody, but I think we can do it together. And if you follow along, maybe you'll see some growth for me. So I appreciate you watching the videos. I'm going to try to upload a few times a week. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Appreciate it. Me dicen que soy gordo, pero